Let me ask you something. Right now, at this very moment, somewhere in this world, someone who started with less than you, someone who had fewer resources than you, someone who faced harder circumstances than you, is winning. They are building. They are growing. They are succeeding. And the only difference between that person and you is not talent. It is not luck. It is not connections. It is not timing. The only difference is that they made a choice, a brutal, non-negotiable, unshakable choice to grind. Jump some non-jishor, yon saisir tirbur, yamundur show up every single day and do the work. And now you have to make that same choice, because here is the truth that nobody is going to sugarcoat for you today. You have to grind. There is absolutely no way around it. Success does not care about your feelings. It does not care about your background. It does not care about how many times you have been knocked down, how many doors have been slammed in your face, or how many people told you that you were not good enough. Success cares about one thing and one thing only: what you do, what actions you take, what sacrifices you make, what price you are willing to pay. Jim Rohn said it simply, powerfully, and without apology. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Read that again. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Not a genius level IQ, not a trust fund, not a fortunate break from the universe. Simple disciplines daily. That is the entire formula. That is the whole secret. And yet most people will hear that, nod their heads, say yes, that makes sense, and then go back to doing absolutely nothing. Because discipline is not comfortable. Grinding is not comfortable. Waking up early when your body is begging for sleep, that is not comfortable. Staying up late to finish what you started while everyone else is watching television and scrolling through social media, that is not comfortable. Saying no to the parties, the distractions, the shortcuts, the escape routes, none of that is comfortable. But here's what Jim Rohn taught us, and here's what every successful person throughout history has confirmed. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. You want to know why most people never reach their potential? It is not because they lack talent. It is because they chose comfort over commitment. They chose the easy path over the right path. They chose to feel good today rather than build something great tomorrow. And years later, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, they look back at their lives and they feel the one pain that no amount of comfort can cure: the pain of regret. Jim Rohn gave the world one of the most powerful lines ever spoken about success and sacrifice. The pain of discipline weighs ounces, and the pain of regret weighs tons. Let that sink into your bones. Let it change the way you think about every single decision you make from this moment forward. Every time you choose discipline, every time you choose to grind when you do not feel like it, every time you choose to study one more hour, practice one more rep, make one more call, write one more page, you are choosing the pain that weighs ounces. It is uncomfortable. It is hard, but it is temporary. And it builds. It compounds. It creates results. But every time you choose comfort over commitment, every time you hit snooze, every time you skip the workout, every time you say, I will do it tomorrow, every time you choose Netflix over your dream, you are choosing the path that leads to the pain of regret. And that pain grows with time. It gets heavier every passing year. And the worst part is, by the time most people feel it, it is too late to go back and choose differently. So understand this clearly. You are going to pay a price either way. There is a price for success. There is a price for mediocrity. The difference is when you pay it and how much it costs you. Pay the price of discipline today, and you buy yourself a life of freedom, fulfillment, and accomplishment. Or pay the price of regret tomorrow, and it will cost you everything. The student who studies hard every night pays the price of discipline. The entrepreneur who works through the weekends pays the price of discipline. The athlete who trains before sunrise pays the price of discipline. And all of them, every single one of them, earns something extraordinary as a result. But the person who says it is too hard, I am too tired, I will start next week, that person also pays a price, just a different one. And it is so much more expensive. Do not wish it were easier. Do not look around at successful people and wish you had what they have without being willing to do what they did. Jim Rohn said it perfectly. Do not wish it were easier. Wish you were better. That shift in mindset from wanting life to be easier to wanting yourself to be stronger is the shift that changes everything. Here is one of the most important concepts Jim Rohn ever taught, and it is one that most people completely misunderstand. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Read that carefully. Success is attracted, not pursued, not chased, not hunted. Attracted like a magnet. And what determines what a magnet attracts? Its own strength, its own power, its own composition. In the same way, what determines what you attract in life? The opportunities, the relationships, the results, the income is who you are, the person you have become, the skills you have developed, the discipline you have cultivated, the knowledge you have acquired, the value you bring to the world Jim Rohn also said, the marketplace pays well for value. The marketplace, whether it is the job market, the business world, the creative industry, the sports arena, does not pay you for your effort. It does not pay you for your hours. It does not pay you for how much you want it or how badly you need it. It pays you for your value, for what you bring to the table, for the problem you can solve, for the skill you have mastered, for the result you can produce. This is why personal development is not optional. This is why reading books matters. This is why learning new skills matters. This is why improving your craft, sharpening your mind, expanding your knowledge, and developing your discipline matters. Because every time you invest in yourself, every time you choose to become more, you are increasing your value. And when your value increases, success follows automatically, inevitably. So stop chasing success and start building yourself. Stop looking for the shortcut and start doing the work of becoming someone who deserves what they want. Read the books, take the courses, practice the skills, seek the mentors, do the reps, put in the hours. Become so good, so skilled, so valuable that success has no choice but to find you. Jim Rohn worked harder on himself than he did on his job. That one decision to invest relentlessly in personal development one and transform Wahin from a farm boy with a minimum wage job and a drawer full of excuses into one of the most influential teachers who ever lived. The grind was not just about working hard. It was about becoming more. And you must do the same. People think the goal of the grind is the result, the achievement, the title, the income, the recognition. And yes, those things come. But they are not the most important thing the grind produces. The most important thing the grind produces is you. The person you become through the struggle. The character that is forged in the fire of consistent effort and daily discipline. Jim Rohn said, character is created in challenge, not in comfort, not in ease, not in the moments when everything is going smoothly. Character is built in the moments when everything is hard. When you are exhausted and you keep going anyway. When you are afraid and you move forward anyway. When you have failed again and you get up again. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments that build the foundation of who you are. Think about the traits that every successful person carries. Discipline, patience, focus, mental strength, resilience, perseverance. Where do those traits come from? They are built through the grind, through years of showing up, through countless repetitions, through failing and learning and trying again. Every morning you get up early when you do not want to. You are building discipline. Every time you push through the discomfort of a difficult task, you are building mental strength. Every time you stay patient when results are slow, you are building patience. Every time you get back up after a setback, you are building resilience. The grind is not just a path to success. The grind is a teacher. And what it teaches you, the character it builds inside you, is worth more than any external achievement. Because external success can be taken away. Businesses fail. Investments collapse. Titles and positions can be lost overnight. But the character you build through years of discipline and hard work, the person you become through the grind, nobody can ever take that from you. That belongs to you forever. Every single day, from the moment your alarm goes off in the morning until the moment you close your eyes at night, you are in a battle. Not with your competition, not with your circumstances, not with the economy or the market or the people who do not believe in you. You are in a battle with yourself, with the part of you that wants comfort, with the voice in your head that says, take it easy. You have done enough. You deserve a break. Comfort is seductive. It speaks in a soft voice. It promises relief and relaxation. It tells you that you have earned the right to slow down. And in the short term, comfort feels like a reward. But in the long term, comfort is a prison. Because every time you choose comfort over growth, you are choosing to become a smaller version of yourself. Every time you stop when it gets hard, you are teaching yourself that hard is a stopping point. And that is a lesson that will cost you more than you can imagine. Jim Rohn understood this deeply. He said, if you are not willing to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. And what is the unusual? The unusual is the early morning. The unusual is the late night. The unusual is the sacrificed weekend. The unusual is the 100 rejections before the yes. The unusual is the years of unseen work before the breakthrough. Most people are not willing to risk the unusual, so they spend their entire lives settling for the ordinary. But you, reading this right now, hearing these words, you were not made for ordinary. There is something inside you that has always known that restless feeling, that hunger, that sense that you are capable of so much more than what you have shown the world so far. That is not wishful thinking. That is a signal. That is your potential calling to you. And the only way to answer that call is to choose growth over comfort every single day. Not because it is easy, Not because it always feels good, but because you know, deep in your core, that the grind makes you powerful. Now let us talk about one of the most dangerous habits that keeps people trapped in mediocrity for their entire lives. Complaining. Because here is what complaining does. Absolutely nothing. Not one single thing. Complaining does not change your circumstances. Complaining does not create momentum. Complaining does not solve problems. Complaining does not build your business, develop your skills, or move you even 1 millimeter closer to your goals. What does complaining create? Excuses, delay, helplessness. A mindset of victimhood that convinces you that your life is being determined by external forces rather than your own choices. Jim Rohn taught that successful people take full responsibility for their lives, not partial responsibility, not responsibility when things go well, full responsibility, always. They do not blame the economy. They do not blame their upbringing. They do not blame their boss, their competition, or their bad luck. They look at every situation and ask, what can I do? What is my next action? How do I move forward from here? Replace your complaints with questions. Replace, why is this so hard, with how do I get better at this? Replace, nobody is supporting me, with how do I build the skills to succeed on my own? Replace, I do not have enough time, with how do I use the time I have more effectively? Because action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates more action. And that cycle, action, momentum, confidence, is the cycle that builds extraordinary lives. There is a particular kind of discipline that separates the truly great from those who only appear to be working toward greatness. The discipline of silence, not the silence of giving up, the silence of deep, focused, undistracted work. The grind that nobody sees, the effort that requires no audience, the commitment that does not need to be announced, documented, or validated. In today's world of social media, constant connectivity, and the desperate hunger for external validation, grinding in silence is a radical act. Because the algorithm rewards noise, the feed rewards announcements. The culture tells you that if you did not post about it, it did not happen. But the most powerful work, the work that actually builds something real, something lasting, happens away from the spotlight. It happens in the early morning before anyone else is awake. It happens late at night after everyone else has gone to sleep. It happens in the quiet hours when there is no applause, no likes, no comments, no validation, just you and your work. Grinding in silence gives you better focus. When you are not performing for an audience, you can give your complete attention to what actually matters. It gives you less distraction, and it gives you more discipline. When you know that nobody is watching, and you do the work anyway. That is where true character is built. That is where the real grind happens. Let your results do the talking. Work in the dark, build in silence. And when it is time, when the work is done and the results are real, let them speak for themselves. Because success speaks louder than any announcement ever could. We live in a world that worships talent. We celebrate the naturally gifted, the overnight sensation, the prodigy, who seems to do effortlessly what others struggle their entire lives to achieve. But here is what the highlight reels do not show. Talent without consistency is wasted potential. And consistency without exceptional talent, that is an unstoppable force. Jim Rohn said it bluntly and brilliantly. Talent is common, consistency is rare. Think about that for a moment. How many talented people do you know who have not reached their potential? How many gifted individuals have you watched start strong and fade? How many people have you seen with incredible natural ability who never built anything significant because they could not maintain the consistency required? Now think about the people who have built something truly extraordinary. Are they all the most talented people in their field? Almost never. The most successful people in almost every field are not necessarily the most gifted. They are the most consistent. They are the ones who show up every day, regardless of mood, regardless of motivation, regardless of whether they feel like it or not. They do the work when it is exciting and when it is boring, when it is energizing and when it is exhausting, when they are seeing results and when they are not. Why does consistency beat talent? Because consistency builds momentum. Every action creates a small amount of forward movement. Every day of showing up adds to the foundation. And over time, months, years, decades, that consistent forward movement creates results that no burst of talent can match. Consistency creates habits, and habits create identity. When showing up every day becomes who you are, not what you do, but who you are, then nothing can stop you. Jim Rohn said, "We are what we repeatedly do, not what we occasionally do, not what we do when we feel inspired, what we repeatedly do. That is what defines us. That is what shapes our outcomes." Here's the truth about small actions. They do not look impressive in the moment. Reading 10 pages of a book today does not seem like much. Practicing your craft for 30 minutes this morning does not seem like much. Having one important conversation, making one extra effort, improving your skill by 1%, none of these seem significant in isolation. But it is not about what those actions produce today. It is about what they produce over time. Read 10 pages every day, and you will read 12 to 15 books per year. In 5 years, you will have read over 60 books. Do you understand what that does to a person? What that does to their knowledge, their perspective, their wisdom, their capability? That one small daily action, 10 pages, compounded over a decade, creates a level of understanding that most people never achieve. Practice your skill for 30 minutes every day and watch what happens over a year, over 5 years, over 10 years. The person who practices 30 minutes every day does not just become twice as good as the person who never practices. They become 10 times better because the compound effect accelerates. The better you get, the faster you improve. The more momentum you build, the easier it becomes to keep building. Small actions repeated daily become identity. You are not just building skills. You are not just accumulating knowledge. You are becoming the person who reads every day, the person who practices every day, the person who improves every day. And that identity becomes the most powerful driver of your future actions because people live consistently with who they believe themselves to be. Become the person who grinds daily, and the daily grind becomes effortless. If there is one sentence that captures the entire philosophy of the grind, it is this: the reward is given for staying, not for starting, not for having the best plan, not for the most impressive beginning or the most enthusiastic launch. The reward, the real reward, the one that changes lives and fulfills potential, is given to those who stay, who keep going, who refuse to quit. Jim Rohn watched people start. He saw the excitement of a new goal, a new resolution, a new commitment. He watched people begin with fire in their eyes and conviction in their voices. And he watched most of them quit, not because they were incapable, not because success was impossible, but because it took longer than they expected, or harder than they imagined, or more painful than they were prepared to endure. Here is what quitters never discover. The breakthrough almost always comes just after the moment when quitting seems most reasonable. The darkest hour truly is before the dawn. The plateau that feels like failure is often the last obstacle before the quantum leap. The moment when every logical argument says stop is very often the moment when persistence pays off most dramatically. Think about it in simple terms: start, continue, persist, win. That is the entire equation. Most people do the first step, they start. Fewer people do the second, they continue when it gets hard. Even fewer do the third, they persist when it seems hopeless. And the people who do all three, they win. Not sometimes, not when the conditions are favorable. They win because the system is set up to reward endurance. Nature rewards persistence. The tree that survives the storm develops deeper roots. The muscle that is challenged grows stronger. The mind that pushes through difficulty develops greater capacity. Endurance is not just a strategy for success. Endurance is success. The willingness to stay longer, try harder, go deeper, and push further than anyone else is the ultimate competitive advantage. Jim Rohn made one of the most bold claims in the history of personal development. Success is predictable. In a world that often seems random, chaotic, and unfair, Jim Rohn looked at the patterns, studied the lives, and arrived at a powerful conclusion. Success is not a mystery. It is not magic. It is not luck. It follows laws. It obeys principles. And anyone who understands and applies those principles can predict their own success. He also said, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Think about that image. Goals on one side, accomplishment on the other, and between them, a bridge. Not motivation, because motivation comes and goes. Not inspiration, because inspiration is unreliable. Discipline, the daily decision to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel about it. The bridge that connects wanting something to actually having it. Most people live their entire lives on the goals side of the bridge. They have dreams, they have visions, they have desires and wishes and resolutions, but they never build the bridge. They wait for the right conditions, the right moment, the right level of motivation. And the moment never comes, because discipline is not something you wait for. It is something you build. One decision at a time, one action at a time, one day at a time. So start building your bridge today. Not when you feel ready, not when the conditions are perfect, not when you have figured out every step of the journey. Start today, because every day you wait is a day you do not build. And the bridge does not build itself. This is your moment. You have heard the truth. You know what success requires. You know the price. You know the path. The only question that remains is, will you pay it? Will you grind? Will you stay? Will you become the person you are capable of becoming? Success is not reserved for the talented. It is not reserved for the lucky. It is not reserved for the connected or the privileged or the naturally gifted. Success is reserved for those who work for it, those who discipline themselves for it, those who sacrifice for it, those who grind for it every single day, without apology, without complaint, without quitting. The world does not owe you success. Nobody is going to hand it to you. Nobody is going to clear the path or carry the load or show you the easy way. There is no easy way. There is only the way, the grind, and the decision to walk it or not. So, walk it. Grind every day. Pay the price. Become more. Build your character. Stay when others quit. Work in silence. Let consistency be your weapon. Let discipline be your bridge. Let patience be your power. And let endurance be your ultimate competitive advantage. You were made for more than ordinary. You have always known that. Now go prove it. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. And never, ever stop. The reward is waiting, and it is given to those who stay.